Uh, Everyone in this room knows about assets, but very few of you know the current status of your customer base. I bet if your boss called, very few of you would know how many accounts you had inactive, dormant, or even closed. Today, it's almost impossible to track, so we end up non-compliant with something called state escheatment law. I'm going to tell you why your biggest compliance blind spot isn't actually at your front door, it's at your back door. If you care about keeping your customers and your regulators happy, listen up. Eisen is an account offboarding platform that fills three critical gaps on your team. The first is staying compliant with state escheatment laws. The second is keeping your most valuable customers. And the third is preparing for what we call operational surprises. So imagine your bank examiner shows up and asks you to show your escheatment compliance. Where do you even start? Well, with Eisen, you start with something we call account summary. Eisen's core platform takes in the accounts from your core or your other processors, analyzes them for dormancy, tracks whether they're active, inactive, or dormant, and we know all of the state escheatment rules. So in our world, we think about things as being reportable this year, reportable next year, and how stale is this data or how fresh is this data? We typically do daily or weekly for folks. And so within this, the first thing that we're going to do that we're going to show that examiner is A, we're taking a look at this. Here's the platform we use for this. But second, within the way that escheatment works, which is how you turn over dormant accounts to each of the different states in the US, the first thing you have to do is identify that it's dormant according to that state's rules. And then you have to send a physical piece of what's called due diligence. It's a letter that you have to send each of these people. Talk about good old school letters. So we have our due diligence section where Eisen will create those letters in accordance with each of the different states' rules. We'll print them, we'll mail them, and we'll track that they got delivered, and we'll store them for you to have one place that you can look. The second thing that they're going to look at is the reports. So each different state requires different reporting for you to show across all of your accounts which accounts are getting kind of closed out. And so here, our reports page kind of gives you a preview of what this year's looks like and gives you the ability to see what's coming up so you can forecast. And then the last thing that examiner is going to want to see is the report history. Not just are you compliant now, but have you been compliant? Escheatment audits typically go back somewhere between 5 and 15 years. So your operations and compliance team will think you're a hero for being able to solve something like this. But how do we actually know which accounts are getting escheated, and what happens when they're very valuable to us? Well, instead of being reactive, we can actually be proactive. We can see what's coming up. And so we would go back to account summary. We would filter for what's called an escheatment cycle. So whether it's spring or fall, most states escheat in the fall, but all in the way that state laws work, they have their own timelines and take their own time. So we would filter by fall 2024, whichever one you'd like to see. We'd sort by balance. And then Eisen gives you the full functionality and search capabilities you need to see all of the different cuts of how escheatment works to make sure you stay compliant. But here we would see that we have multiple accounts that are worth almost 100 grand each, and your accounts will vary. But what if instead of being reactive to seeing them 2 months, because these are reportable this fall in basically 6 to 7 weeks, what if we could have reactivated them ahead of time? Well, Eisen calls this Outreach Hub. Outreach Hub is how we allow you to set up what we call a sequence, which is a way to set up a message, select your audience, select the schedule you want to send a message on, and select the message you want to send. We call it a template. And so within this, let's take a look at our first sequence here. So a 1-month reminder before that account goes dormant. Ultimately, what we're trying to design here is a reactivation campaign that we can set based on whether it's a balance of account, whether it's above $50 or whatever. You can design your own reactivation sequence to have this run automatically in the background. So let's build a sequence together. So we would create a sequence here. We'd name it, say, we want to do a 3-month reminder. And most of our customers do a 4-sequence outreach. They'll do a 12 months before it gets closed, 6 months before it gets closed, 3 months before it gets closed, 1 month before it gets closed. And we'll see reactivation rates between 20 and 40%. And so by being proactive with the way that we think about these things and automatically sending outreach notifications, we can reactivate the customers that we would otherwise be losing to this kind of Byzantine state escheatment process. And so when we create this sequence, we'll save it as draft, and then that will actually get sent for approval to the compliance team to make sure that we're staying in compliance with all of the different internal bank policies and procedures here. So obviously, if we can move from reactive to proactive, that's better. But we can't always be proactive with stuff. Sometimes, we'll call them operational surprises, just happen. Let's imagine you get a phone call if you're in sponsor banking, sponsoring programs, that one of your programs just shut down. They turned off their app, and you have 100,000 accounts to disperse tomorrow. Good luck. What are you going to do? Well, with Eisen, what we would do is we would actually help you create what's called a disbursement hub batch. So batches are our concept for sending mass disbursements of payments across the nationwide. Right now, we support basically print and mail checks. So we allow you to create a batch of payments that then will print a mail merged cover letter. We'll mail them out for you. We'll track that they got delivered, and then we'll reconcile if they actually got cashed. And you can do this for up to 100,000 accounts with less than a 2-day SLA. So our goal is to be a waterfall overflow when operational things happen, whether it's a fintech program wind down, whether you get notified that you've been mischarging interest and need to send customer refunds. We want you to, and your team to have the tools to avoid and mitigate customer harm if and when it happens. And so the last thing that I'll point out on this batch of disbursements, the way this works is if we open up view funding instructions for a second, the actual flow of funds here is that Eisen has an FBO account at JP Morgan. The bank is, that you guys would fund those disbursements, and then we send them out and then reconcile them every day. So you get the operational. You don't spend your team's time doing envelope stuffing, sending cashier's checks, and then doing the reconciliation afterwards. You have one platform managing all of this, where you have kind of full reconciliation and the ability to see what happened. You get the reporting and the visibility without the operational headache. So Eisen's account offboarding platform is designed to give you that full account lifecycle visibility, from account monitoring of the data coming in and whether it's active, inactive, or dormant, through when it needs to be closed due to state escheatment laws, and give you an auditable trail all the way through those. We help you stay compliant with state escheatment laws. We help you maintain and keep your most valuable customers and design the kind of outreach campaigns to do so. And we help you be prepared, you and your team be prepared for any operational surprises that might arise. Eisen, escheatment might not be everybody's favorite topic, but we like to joke that kind of a sheet happens, and we need to be ready to make sure that we're prepared when it does. Thanks.